What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. Thank you, Meal patrons. I'm going to get that right off the bat. Kimberly and Karen, really appreciate it. We finally got a chance to see Poor Things. I saw it about a week ago. Kyle got to see it a few days ago, and then the holiday hit. We've been busy. Go check out our review of Maestro. It's coming out, and in the next two days on New Year's Eve, we'll be dropping our top 10 movies of 2023. It's my favorite thing to do of the year. I love it. Guys, if you comment, like, subscribe, and share, and really share, surround, subscribe, help us get to that 2,000 mark. We're going to give a free hoodie just like this. One of the most comfortable hoodies I own. It's incredible how comfortable it is. They do a good job at Teespring, which is what we use. But we're going to give a free one away to someone who's been commenting, and we see the comments. We appreciate it. We support it. We're here for Poor Things. We're going to really dive into this one, I have a feeling, because I have some thoughts I want to air out. It'll start as non-spoiler. For some reason we tap into a spoiler, we will warn you, but this will hopefully be a non-spoiler. We'll just see how it goes. But let's get into it. Kyle, what were your positives and just kind of initial thoughts? This is a wild movie. What were your initial thoughts of Poor Things?
I am happy because I finally get to watch a Yorgos Lanthimos movie that I enjoy. For some reason, when it comes to his previous movies, I just haven't been able to get on the same page with other people in regards to his work. He's an excellent director, but just I don't know if it's his style or like the stories he chooses, but they just don't click with me personally. But Yorgos working with Poor Things here, I thought he did a phenomenal job, and it's finally a movie that just clicks for me. I really appreciated his direction here in regards to making this story feel like a part gothic, part psychedelic fairy tale, if you want to phrase it that way, that takes this woman onto like an odyssey of sorts into discovering like her womanhood, but also what it means to like be a person and be an individual. And I thought between his terrific directing and the stylized aspects of it that are just gorgeous to watch on the big screen, Emma Stone is just phenomenal in this movie. This is going to be like one of my favorite performances of hers easily, and this potentially could be a performance of her career, if I'm being honest, because I don't know, we're just seeing things that I just never would have imagined her doing like up on the big screen. But I loved her for that. I loved her for being bold, and I loved for the direction and for the choices that she made in regards to for this character. And it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up when it comes to like Oscar nominations, because between her and many of the other actresses this year, it's just going to be a wild ride to see who comes out on top. But anyway, in regards to this performance, it's just incredible to watch, and you just don't see her. You don't see Emma Stone. You just see this character, and you see how this character changes and grows as a person throughout the entirety of the movie. On top of that, all of the supporting cast is incredible too, including Mark Ruffalo. He is hilarious. I love seeing him take a big swing when it comes to the performance that he did in this. And this movie just took me on a trip, but on a trip that I really wanted to experience on the big screen. And it just really worked for me on so many levels. And I thought that this was a wild ride, but a really great, enthralling one.
Apparently, you just needed a lot of sex scenes for Kyle.
I'm just a simple man.
I'm just making jokes. Sorry, Kyle, I want to ask you before I talk, because my thoughts are very interesting overall, completely overall. So I just want to know right off the top of the bat, because I don't know if I'm going to do positives and negatives. I think I'm just going to splurge. Did you have any negatives of the movie?
I would say that the last, I don't know what it is, 20 minutes or half hour feels a bit tacked on. I feel like it adds to an aspect of the story that has already been established enough, and I just didn't feel
it need to be. I get.
Yeah, it felt also like too much of a tonal shift, despite this movie doing a lot of tone shifts already, and they work very well. But for some reason, that last half hour, even though the final scene is like a terrific, hilarious nail in the coffin, so to speak, that last 20 or 30 minutes feels like, okay, we were at a good conclusion. Why do we need to continue down this other adjacent path now? So I would say that, and I do wonder, as much as I loved how sexually freeing this movie is, to put into those words, I do wonder if it's also a bit too much of that imagery for its own good, in that it could alienate audiences into not enjoying this movie. And for me, it works because it becomes an avenue for Emma's character to experience other aspects of not just adulthood, but of womanhood. And that's obviously not everyone else's journey, to say the least, of course, but I think it just works for this story and for this character. But I also wonder if it is a bit too much for its own good, and that it will lose sight of the bigger picture of this character's arc, if that makes sense. So I guess that second part isn't really like a negative, but I could see it.
Sure.
It was a question that was in the back of my mind as much as I was loving this movie. So I will toss that in there.
I agree with you at the end. I got so many thoughts. Gear up. This is about to be a wild ride. I haven't even
this is gonna be a
posted
fun
my
review. Let's do
Letterbox
that.
review. One,
Yeah.
I've got a rant about people's etiquette in movie theaters. Okay?
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
Two, a couple sat next to us, showed up a few minutes late, wouldn't shut up. The guy got up like 4 times, cutting in front of us, and I'm going to tell you right now, we're on the end. They didn't pick the middle seats. They chose to sit next to us on the end.
Mhm.
They pulled out like a sleeping bag that was wrapped up in like a legit like storage thing. So it was just nothing but loud sleeping bag crinkles. What are you doing? And I was like, are they going to get naughty in this naughty movie right now? Do I got to go yell at somebody? They didn't, thank goodness.
Okay.
But she pulled out her phone 3 times. And I gave her the looks. I'm sitting right next to her. I just looked right at her. She just ignored me. Ridiculous. The person on the other end of my row pulled their phone out. But here's the worst thing and the best thing about my rant, okay, about movie theater etiquette. Some kids decided that they were going to mess around in the movie theater. So they came into our theater. They went to the light switch. You could hear the giggling. You could hear the thing open up. And they're flipping the light switch a little bit off and on, and then they stop. They're laughing, they're giggling, and then they walk to the front and they sit down. And it was a group of teenage girls. My guess, 14 or 15 years old. They looked young. And I don't think they had any idea what movie they were walking into. And they could not have picked the worst time in the entire movie to walk into. And it was some sweet satisfaction. They walked in a very intense montage that involves a whorehouse, is all I'm going to say on that. And they left 5 minutes later, quiet as a bird. And I hope they were scarred for how they acted in that theater. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to the movie. Okay. So I don't think that, I'm going to say this off top. I loved the movie. I thought this movie was fantastic. I do think I give this to this performance from Emma Stone the edge. I do think this is her best. But I've seen people say it's not close. I think they're forgetting how good she is in La La Land. So
she is very good.
I think we're forgetting how good she is in a movie Kyle doesn't like, The Favorite. She's very good in those movies. I don't think this is a massive, massive leap. It's a leap in terms of some of the things she's being asked to do, for sure.
Yeah.
I left the movie with an array of thoughts. It took me a while to get by it. Okay, and I'm going to do a slight spoiler here. Okay, I'm going to do a slight spoiler. The movie is a Frankenstein tale where he puts the baby of a woman who killed herself. So spoilers on the plot. Again, this is spoilers. Spoilers. Come back later. He takes the baby's brain and puts it in the mom. She's relearning, and then it becomes a story about womanhood. I do think at the beginning, the movie does struggle with its way of pacing and showing that. Because in one scene, she's an infant. In the next scene, she is wanting to have sex. And it's like, that is a huge jump. I'm not a woman, obviously. And I've talked about this a lot. And maybe this is just, I'm getting old in my age, and I do teach children. So I was like, this feels inappropriate. Like I feel like she has not grown yet, and there are grown men talking to her about these things, and it was wigging me out. And maybe that was part of the point of the movie, and I never had that thought until this moment right now live on air. Maybe that was part of the point, and the way men treat women and how they have to find that. In fact, maybe that was, and I'm starting to enjoy the movie a whole lot more now, and I already really liked it.
I could see it being that, yeah.
I did have a problem with that. Once the movie continued, that was that was a big, small issue, if that makes sense. It's a small part of the movie at the beginning that I was like, I don't love this transition here. It doesn't feel like just a kid suddenly is, puberty hits and now I'm extremely, sex crazy. It didn't feel that way to me. It felt like there was no real separation, but maybe that is the point. And that was my biggest nitpick. I agree with Kyle on the ending. Outside of that, I loved everything. I thought the humor was great. I do not get this narrative
really
that
funny, yeah.
people are like, Mark Ruffalo. I've never seen Mark Ruffalo do anything like this. And Mark Ruffalo's a good actor. I've been seeing that. Have you not been paying attention? Have you not seen Foxcatcher? Have you not seen Spotlight? He was in a show that was absolutely fantastic where he played twin brothers. Oh my gosh, it's wild. I'm going to look the name of that up real fast. I Know This Much Is True is the name of that miniseries. It's phenomenal. And I'm with Kyle. I don't love Yorgos. I can't stand The Lobster. I think that movie is weird. I also think we need to check under this guy's bed. Okay. He's really into sewing up animals and humans. And I think it's weird. No, I don't. But I think he's growing because I really liked The Favorite. I think he's growing in his directing. I've not seen Killing of a Sacred Deer. I've heard it's very good. I've always wanted to see it. It's been on my list. But that's something I'll hit in the new year because I'm trying to rush through movies in 2023 I'm late to. But I really loved the movie. I loved the look. I loved the aesthetic. I do think this is the clear winner for costume design and production. I think it's the clear winner.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to mention
I do think this movie is very interesting. It's this is coming off the heels of just filming Maestro with you, but I don't understand how we look at a movie like Maestro and go, that's Oscar bait. And you don't look at a movie like this and do that. And I get Kyle didn't like Maestro as much. And I really loved both movies. But this narrative of Oscar baity is true and not true in a way. There are movies that the Academy does vote for. They love movies about themselves. That makes sense. Every industry, when they do performance reviews at the end of the year, are going to talk about themselves. So it makes sense that tends to be the way they lean, I think, when you just look at it from a business point of view. But I think it's just an interesting conversation of how we really view these movies. But, if you told me Emma Stone was going to baby talk in a movie, I'd be like, oh, interesting.
Oscar bait.
Oscar bait. What are we doing here? No, I think it's just an interesting conversation we can have another day, maybe on the podcast. But I just don't know if this Oscar baity movie thing exists, because I see one, like, the weirder you go, the less Oscar baity you are. So that's what that means. The weirder you go. So Shape of Water was not Oscar baity, but they said it was when it came out. So
I don't remember saying it was, but
not you. I'm just saying people.
No, I agree. I mean, yes.
I just don't like this Oscar baity thing. I think Oscar bait is usually when the movie's really bad and they thought it was going to be really good. But I think both these movies are really good.
Hillbilly Elegy, whatever.
I think that's when you get 15 really incredible people and you're like, we're going to win. We got all these great people, but you just had a bad script. Everything didn't go right and the movie's just meh. But anyway, put that aside. Back to Poor Things.
That could be a podcast discussion.
I loved Poor Things. I thought the movie was fantastic. Emma was great. Mark was great. Willem Dafoe was excellent.
Yeah.
The
two comedians were great too.
Yeah, they were. The only real contender, I do think, for the Oscar win of the major categories is Emma. I don't know if the movie, it depends on what the top 10 best pictures will be. I do think it has a chance for best picture, but I don't know if they're going to go that way. Best actress and best supporting actress is stacked this year. I would probably put Emma the front runner right now myself, but man, you think back to like Lily Gladstone's still right there. And she was phenomenal. And you don't even get me started on best supporting actress. You put Emily Blunt in there for Oppie. You put the actress for The Holdovers, who I would have as the winner for the best actress right now myself. But
I think she's the clear lead. Those could be other podcast topics too. We can.
But I'm saying that I do think Emily Blunt probably is going to be a nomination here.
I don't know. I don't hear that buzz quite yet. Who knows? There's always a surprise.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong here, but anyway,
Kyle
doesn't want me to talk about these things. He's shutting me down. But I do think the movie is fantastic. I think it's weird
Yes.
in the best ways possible. It is very weird. People were saying that when the movie ended. They were like, wow. One guy next to me was like, this isn't even his weirdest movie. And I was like, no, I actually think this is his weirdest, but he's finally figured out how to do it. Like he's
I think
really
it's his
figured
less,
out.
It is certainly his less nuance. I will say it. I will say that. Like, I
What do you
think it's
mean?
very well, I mean, non-nuance. That's not the right word.
I
I
was gonna
think the
say,
point of
it's
the
very
movie, I think the point of the movie is obvious, but there's a lot of nuance to it. I think it's his most, and I don't mean obvious in like a negative way. I just mean like in terms of like The Lobster or The Favorite or his past work. I think this one is like, oh, I can see a bit more clearly of like what
See,
this
funny
is
enough,
supposed to
I
be.
think The Favorite and The Lobster are all very clearly with their messaging. I think they're all like, here's what the messaging is.
Yeah, maybe it's me
So,
then. I don't know.
and at the end of the day, it's just that life's tough. What do you get out of life? Maybe that's what it is for all three of them. You're just always saying stuff about life. I do like
Yeah.
the trajectory Emma Stone is going in. I think I really appreciate
Yes.
that. I
Yeah.
appreciate this movie quite a bit. I think it's going to be a contender for a lot of awards. It's going to be a contender for the top 10 of my year. Excited to put the list together. Will it be Kyle's number one, though? Who knows? He loved it so much.
Who knows?
All right. Any other thoughts, Kyle?
Lots of great movies, especially this one. Go out and see them.
Yeah, don't take your mom to see this one, though. Go to
No,
this
probably
one,
don't do that.
like, just you and a friend.
Yeah,
A friend you're comfortable with.
a friend you're comfortable with.
Anyway, guys, what do you think? Comment below. Let us know. I'm going to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.